Chapter 5, Section 3, this is mass movements. This is the last section for this chapter. We will have a quiz on Chapter 5 before moving on to Chapter 7. So, mass movements, we need to look at erosion and deposition. Erosion is when you have a material, such as topsoil, that's moved from one place to another. And deposition is when that same material is moved and deposited into a new location. So erosion is where it picks it up and moves it down the hill, so to speak, and then deposition is where it's dropping it in its new location. So erosion and deposition are caused by wind. They can be caused by water. And they can also be caused by natural processes and human activities. This often occurs faster than the topsoil can form. So in areas where you have erosion and deposition, you're going to have very little grass. You're going to have very little topsoil. It's going to be mostly subsoil. And this is going to, like I say, erosion and deposition is going to occur quickly. So you're not going to have very much topsoil at all in this area. And here's an example. So what is a mass movement? Mass movements are when you have any form or any mass of substance. It could be mud, it could be rock fragments, it could be trees, other landmass fragments such as that move in one big movement. So you're transferring rock and soil downslope, and this is only because of gravity. So gravity is what's pulling it downward. It can be triggered by a saturation of water, an oversteepening of a slope, so something that's angled too greatly, and then a removal of vegetation, so removing trees, plants, shrubs, all those things that hold the soil together. Earthquakes are also a trigger. So here's an example, and then this is a smaller example. Mass movements are classified by the kind of material that moves, so whether it's rock, mud, tree fragments, that sort of thing. It's also classified by how it moves, the speed that it's moving at as well. So for example, a fall, which is what you can see here in the top, the rock type is rocks. It's going to be extremely rapid, and it's going to have debris and earth fall as well. You can have two different types of slides. You can have one that's planar, so one that's down at an angle, or you can have one that's kind of curved. So we have slides at the top, so rock or debris slides. These are very slow, can be very fast. Then we have slumps. These are usually slower than a slide. That's what the curved one is. Those are slumps. So rock falls, those include rock or rock fragments, and these fall freely through the air. So it is literally just rock and debris falling and piling up at the bottom. You can see examples here. Slides we can classify as a block of material that's moving suddenly on an inclined surface. So this is not a curved surface, this is a flat angular surface. So we have rock slides. Those have to have bedrock in there. We can also have mudslides. Slumps, again, this is a curved surface where you have downward movement. And you can see that here. If anyone has driven around town lately, you could probably see several slumps from our recent flooding over Christmas. Then we have what we call flows, and this is a mass movement of material, and it also contains water in very large amounts. So we can have mud flows, debris flows. Mud flows are the most frequent. They carry soil mostly, some rock, and a lot of water. It usually has the consistency of wet concrete. So this is a very boggy, very sticky type of mud. And then we also have earth flows. This is carrying clay mostly. Not really any rock, but mostly clay. You can see that here. And then we have what's known as creep. And it's a slow downhill movement of soil and regolith. So creep is actually the slowest of all the types. And creep is just like I say, it's a very slow motion, so it's not something that you can see happening. So for example, in this picture at the top, you have the trees that are pretty much straight, and then you have the tree that's curved. The tree that is curved has experienced creep. Because what do you know plants want to do? They want to grow toward the sun. So as they're growing toward the sun, if creep is occurring, it's going to start to tilt that plant at an angle. And when that tree or that plant is tilted at an angle, it's going to curve itself back toward the sun. So back into a vertical position. You can see some creep here with this fence line as well. Now, some things that we can do to prevent erosion and prevent all of these mass movements. Plant more plants, okay? The root system of a plant is what helps to hold soil together to keep it more stable. We can do plowing, such as contour plowing. That helps. And you can see another image of contour plowing here. And then, of course, building up walls that will help us to slow down that erosion over time. So, conservation of soil, we can protect the soil with plants, we can create physical barriers, and we can use responsible farming methods. So, rotating the crops. So, instead of planting corn in the same field year after year, rotate corn with something that's completely the opposite of corn. So something that would put nitrogen back into the soil. Terracing or contour plowing, so making your steep slopes into kind of these large steps as you go up the hill. And then, of course, contour farming, plowing perpendicular across a hill. So it's kind of the same thing as terracing. So here on this bank, we would need to add a lot more plants, and we would need to build up physical barrier, and that would help to reduce the loss of soil in that area. So for today, make sure you go back and read 5.3 in the Earth Science book, 12.2 from the Environmental book, and then you have an assignment that goes with mass movement. And that's it for today.